Hello and welcome to another installment of On My Arty Bookshelf. Each week, more or less this year, I am pulling out some of the many books that I have on my bookshelves and creating a piece of mixed media art inspired by them. In previous weeks, I've been quite intentional in how I chose my books, but this week I decided to just pull out two random books and see what happens. Okay, I'll admit it. This first one I pulled out because of its connection to Nick Bantock, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. But the second one was absolutely completely random. I pulled it out because it was sitting beside the other one. So the first book, The Tattooed Map by Barbara Hodgson, it's actually a story. It's a novel, but it's got these really fabulous illustrations, bits of stuff tucked in on the pages that I just really adore. The story is quite interesting as well. It's about a trip to some exotic location, and there's a mystery involved. I remember exactly where I bought that book. I bought it on a day trip to Bowen Island, which I believe is where Barbara Hodgson, the author, lives. It's also the island where Nick Bantock used to live, and in fact, Hodgson mentions Bantock in her credits in this book. And now the second book that I pulled out really was quite random, and it's not even my book. It belonged to my daughter when she was quite young. It's a book of prompts to do things when you're bored, and I think I've mainly kept it around because it's got some really sweet little additions by her, but I also like the font, and there's a few things in here that relate to some of the stuff that I've been talking about recently, like this one about surrealism. Get surreal. A while back, a bunch of artists who call themselves dadaists and surrealists, I'm not making this up, grew weary of looking at pretty landscapes and portraits of idle rich people, so they shook things up a bit. And I have to say, I am all for that. And this book has all kinds of surrealist and Dadaist ideas, things like that I've been talking about recently. There's exquisite corpse, automatic writing, automatic drawing, and all kinds of things. So I decided to take inspiration from the tattooed map in that it's got little bits of ephemera, little things that you might save that you've torn out of other places that you might want to save. So I've gone ahead and I've pulled out a few of those things from the boredom book, specifically things that my daughter wrote down and a few other things that were sitting around on my table, and I'm going to use them to create a little scrapbook. And since the tattooed map is really about words, I decided that I would also pull out a page of words from the boredom book and see if I could create some automatic writing by cutting out some of the phrases that appeal to me and see what I can come up with for my page here. You know, it's funny, I remember exactly where I bought both of these books. The Tattooed Map, I picked it up at a library book sale when we were on Bowen Island for a day trip. The thing that I remember about that trip was that we had gone into a coffee shop and the server there recognized us because she had taught my kids horseback riding lessons several years ago in a completely different part of the area. And then when I looked at this horse named Morgan, I thought, I feel like I can remember her telling me that her horse was named after a character from Arthurian legends. So I questioned my daughter about that, and my daughter remembers everything. When I asked her about the soccer ball note, she says, yeah, Aiden was a boy that she went to school with. He gave me his old soccer ball. It was awesome. It was gold. I love that soccer ball. We had it for years. But she doesn't remember the horse named Morgan. Either does my other daughter, but I'm pretty sure that it belonged to the girl that we ran into on Bowen Island, so that was a bit of a strange little coincidence there that I kind of liked. I also found it coincidental that both of those books had lots of little bits of faux, of course, because they're both printed ephemera and little additions tucked in here and there. So in some weird ways, there were some connections between the two of them. I'm really trying hard not to plan this page out. So the first thing that I did was I glued on those two little bits of my daughter's drawings and writing that I had chosen. and I didn't think about where anything else was going to go. And then after that, I went in and I pulled out the little phrases to see what kind of found poetry I could create, glued that all down where it fit, and then I went in and I added the other little bits. So as little as planned as little as possible. And here's the found poetry automatic writing that I came up with. Maybe you're actually an authentic, unassuming sweater for an octopus, cleverly disguised as a mild-mannered product off the industrial common denominators. Do I know what it means? Absolutely not. Do I like it? Absolutely. Oh, and what am I wearing today? I'm wearing a sweater that I knit to use up some of my stash a couple of years ago. Not exactly an octopus sweater, but a sweater nonetheless. Another one of those unintended coincidences. And here's the finished piece. This happens quite often to me. After I turned off the camera, I decided this piece needed something extra. I went in after the fact and I drew a hand, because in the tattooed map, the map in question is actually appearing on a person's hands. Anyway, once again, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.